I'm Wing Commander Andrew Hagstrom, and currently I'm the Commanding Officer of 88 Squadron. And our role here at both AWIC and Diamond Storm is really the integrating function across all the platforms. So we coordinate, we facilitate, we design air warfare instructor courses, one of our remits for the Air Warfare Centre, and then we make sure we're achieving the desired learning outcomes for the course. We've had 3 force level integration activities for Air Warfare Instructor course. So when I'm talking force level integration, what we're talking about is pretty much every platform that's part of the course integrating together to solve the tactical problem. Diamond Storm sits at the end, so it's effectively the graduation activity for Air Warfare Instructor course. And then between those elements, so there's 3 major pillars in AWIC. Each of the individual courses and platforms and systems integrating at probably a slightly lower level, so they can build competency and build currency to get them to essentially an entry point for the force level integration activities. That's where we at 88 Squadron and the Air Warfare Centre primarily make our money, which is the design and delivery of those integrated training outcomes. So the 2022 course, so this course is the biggest we've seen with the amount of platforms we've integrated. Really we've used the same philosophies, so what we've done is have a look at the desired learning objectives for each of the platforms and systems. So we rely a lot on, for example, F-35, 81 Wing who operate that aircraft, really understanding what they need from a technical mastery standpoint, so how they operate the aircraft, what they need their instructors to be. And we take those desired learning objectives, we look across I guess all the platforms on course, and we then design the right tactical problems to give them so that they're able to essentially work with all the strengths of the platforms on the course, mitigate the deficiencies across all those platforms and solve that tactical problem. It's really like what we're trying to do is maximise the capabilities of all the platforms. So F-35 brings massive capability, but it also has to integrate with the other platforms that we operate, and that integration kind of has that synergistic effect. So even though it's technically the only 5th gen platform on the course, a lot of the other 4th gen platforms, other platforms and systems, they require that data as much as the other platforms require data from the F-35. So we're getting to a point where the tactical problems that we need to solve are difficult, that we can't just do it with a single stovepipe platform. So what we need to do is in training generate that complexity, and that complexity generates the level of tactical expert that we're looking for on each platform, and they'll then be the key person to carry the baton, for want of a better term, forward, such that they understand strengths and weaknesses of every platform and are effectively Air Force's integrators. So they'll end up managing the entire training program for the squadron. So you're starting to see it now, and even though we've had about 1 mission of Diamond Storm, that they're starting to be better than I guess the previous generation was. And we see with each AWIC that comes along that we try and move that bar along, and by the end of the course, so another few missions, they'll be at that point where they are the best on their game that they will probably likely be from a technical mastery standpoint. Obviously from an experience standpoint, they'll still be able to be rounded and seasoned, but when they get back to the squadron, they're effectively running the training program for their unit. It's a pretty humbling position, so you're there as the tactical expert, but you also have to be empathetic, I guess, to everyone from the most junior aviator all the way up to the commanding officer, and then reaching out more broadly across other units and other platforms as an integrator for Air Force. So you have a real, a categorised, humble, approachable, knowledgeable expert, so taking those effectively competencies and character traits back as an instructor to the squadron. marathon, not a sprint, but she's a pretty fast-paced marathon. We start off with effectively each phase will have a set of common integrated academics. So what we found is just trying to baseline across all the platforms, knowledge for each individual element. So we group that up as Air Warfare Centre with regards to integrated academics. Then each of the individual platforms and systems will do their own what we call capability training. So just being skills and drills, for want of a better term. So hitting the, whether it's like the cricket nets or the football field, and just practicing drills specific to ensure that they can generate a level of competency. And then they'll integrate with either one or two systems from the rest of the AY community, all up to effectively that point where we hit a scenario, for example, Diamond Shield with its effectively a defensive counter-air scenario, where they can now start to integrate, and they're at a level of competency that we can provide them those complex problems and they can actually get to the solution. So it's really those three major pillars for those large activities, but between then a lot of work on the individual platforms to generate that level of technical mastery. We had the aggressors come out from the US to participate in Diamond Shield, and that was enormous. So the amount of learning that we got out of dissimilar platforms, the capabilities that they can bring from a simulation of threat aircraft, we don't have that in Australia. So there's unique capabilities that we're able to exercise against. And then on Diamond Storm, for example, we have our MV-22, so US Marine Corps partners participating on the course. Well, not on the course, but they're in the activity. We have other USAF elements, we have other ground elements. So it's that richness and the integration that's required to bring all those capabilities together that the students really benefit from. So even though we might speak English across the US and Australia, it can be a different language sometimes, although broadly our tactics are very much interchangeable, and the way that we operate together just provides that extra level of, richness to the scenario. What we want to do is make sure that we've invested a lot of time and a lot of effort in generating these tactical experts. So when they go back to the squadron, they're really reinvested back into Air Force. So we get a real return on investment by, the focus is on having them contribute at that grassroots level within the squadron. They will then obviously grow and mature and become essentially on their own journey post-graduation to be, gain another set of skills as a graduate AY and another level of complexity, and take that integration to beyond just platforms and into areas like our Air Operations Centre or other capability development areas. But right now, after course, they're probably looking for a quick break, bit of time off, and then back into the squadron, where they're probably chomping at the bit to get after that, being the tactical mentor in the unit and running that training program. They've spent 6 months and probably the 3 years before that wanting to be that tactical leader and tactical expert. So I think they're really wanting to get back to their unit and be that tactical mentor. AWIC's primarily focused on aircrew. Obviously the deployed environment creates some areas where our maintenance folks can integrate as well, and we're obviously always striving to, from an efficiency standpoint and a training standpoint, to get whatever cross-training that's available, but that's sometimes limited by policy and sometimes limited by training, but where we can do that, that provides us a unique skill set for some of those humans. So we always try and capitalise, whether it's our security forces who are working with the military working dogs, all the way up to the most tactically proficient aviator. There's learning that everyone gets from being associated with Diamond Storm or AWIC writ large. Super rewarding. So particularly, I was on the 50th course, so we're getting close, as you said, to 70 for AWIC 24. But really rewarding just to see how far the program from an air warfare instructor program has come, matured, continues to mature, and then to be part of actually the delivery of AWIC 22 is a very humbling experience.